What's up, everybody? You're back in here with the Pro Football Pod. You've got Hulk, you've got Coach, hitting you with another preview. Carolina Panthers for you today. So, Panthers fans, what's the Panthers motto? Like RAR? Roar, sir, I know they got RAR. I know they got Sir Per. So, hey, Panthers fans, we're looking at a much better season for you here. I've got faith in the come up with Dave Canellis. Leave a comment. Hit that notification bell, subscribe to the channel for us. 500 subscribers, we're giving away a free jersey. We'd love to give away a Panthers one, either a custom or a current player here for you. Let's go ahead and dive into it.
Just today, we got a notification about their stadium and like the renovations that they're planning on doing.
It looks good.
Yeah. I think that one of the biggest problems that this franchise has had is similar to like the Jags. And like the owners kind of like put his hands in the pot a little bit too much.
And he's a new owner too.
Yes.
So like, and that's the thing though, especially with these new owners, like you were saying, like they'll buy the team and then for them, it's like, oh, this is my new toy.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to do with it. And like, I completely 100% understand that. But to me, like, I like what he's doing, coming out and doing these renovations because of the videos and stuff that have come out about how Tepper's been acting in the public.
Yeah.
Like the guy's just kind of a very brash individual. But from what I saw from the renovations, like it looks good. Like I feel like for a stadium in North Carolina like that, they also host some pretty solid venues.
Yep.
At Bank of America Stadium there. So, I mean, whether it's things for the ACC, whether it's things for concerts and stuff like that, like the most outside venues in North Carolina, that's where they're held.
They're having a football game. Messi's coming in July, I think. So, like, yeah, they're doing all kinds of things like that. And going back into the football side of things, last year, they only won 2 games. They were the worst team in football. I don't think that that's them. Everyone's given him so much shit for taking Bryce over C.J. Stroud, but C.J. Stroud walked into a much better situation than Bryce Young did. Like, right away. Now, they added things like Deontay Johnson, Rob Hunt, Jadeveon Clowney, Jordan Fuller. Like, these are all very solid pieces that have made them better in positions of very major need. They lost Brian Burns. They lost DJ Chark, which was fine. And then they drafted Jonathan Brooks and Xavier Leggett, both guys that we were very high on because of what they could potentially bring. I mean, Jonathan Brooks was the consensus #1 running back by pretty much everybody. We were really high on like Trey Benson and some of these like more athletic guys. But as far as just like a running the football guy and honestly receiving, Jonathan Brooks is everything that you need.
Mm-hmm. And in rookie redrafts for Dynasty right now, he's rightfully going towards the top as he should. I think he's going to get a solid workload there. We saw what Canellis was able to do with Rachaad White. Speaking on, like you said, I don't see them as the worst team in the league. I absolutely see the come up for this team by bringing in Deontay Johnson, Rob Hunt, Damian Lewis, just for your offensive side. And drafting Xavier Leggett, Jonathan Brooks, and Jatavian Sanders.
Yes, I like Jatavian Sanders a lot.
And with Jonathan Mingo last year, like aside from Adam Thielen, like you have a solid young offensive core to work with here. And with Dave Canellis, if you go back and look at his history, when Geno Smith popped off and had that season to where everybody wrote him off and he didn't write back, that whole video, his quarterback coach at the time was Dave Canellis. And then we saw what Dave Canellis did with Baker Mayfield in Tampa last year.
I mean, they
like,
won
so
the
the proof for him with his quarterbacks is in the pudding there and how he's wanting to run an offense. I like what he's going to be able to do for Bryce. I had Bryce as my #1 guy over CJ Stroud in the draft coming out last year. I stood on that. I will still stand on that. I know CJ Stroud is the talk of the town right now. He's going to be put in top 5 list for quarterbacks, Justin Herbert style. And okay, he popped off last year. I get it. But like you said, he had a much better just overall cast to work with than what Bryce had by a mile.
Yes.
Like by offensive play calling, by a defense, by overall playmakers. He had everything that Bryce did not. So to be able to see Bryce get a coach like Canellis for his just development and adding pieces like this, the arrow to me is only pointing up for the team there in Charlotte.
Bryce also comps a lot to like Tua, and Tua took a little bit of time to like develop
Had
into
to
the
build
player
an
that he is
offense,
now.
had to get the right coach for you. Like,
Yeah.
and that's not us, Dolphins fans. That's not us just hyping Tua. That's for any quarterback like Bryce that is that Drew Brees mold of the smaller guy, not necessarily fast, but a little shifty, can make a play if he needs to.
And
but he's
accurate.
built on timing and accuracy.
Yes.
And so there's a reason he went to Adam Thielen 13 times a game. He could trust that he was going to be in the spot he needed him to be in.
Yep. And now a lot of people forget, but Week 8 last year they beat Houston. As much as everyone says that Houston
Held
is
CJ Stroud to 140 yards
and 13 points, so they also beat Atlanta 9-7. Not that impressive, but Atlanta's defense was very good last year. I wouldn't say very good, but they were good last year. Their biggest worries was always on their offense. Their offense just couldn't get things going. They also put up 30 points against Green Bay the following week. They nearly beat Green Bay. That was whenever I think everyone started to really see Jordan Love, because he had a comeback win in the fourth quarter against the team that they were supposed to demolish. But then also whenever they played the Dolphins, man, they put up like 20 points in the first quarter and a half. And then the Dolphins turned it on and put on 42 altogether. But so there was moments of flash. The team is not a bad team. They weren't coached properly, in my opinion, and they do have the pieces necessary to have success. Thielen's not going to be asked to touch the ball 12 times a game with this receiving core that they've added.
No, like I said, I'd love them adding Johnson, Leggett, Jatavian Sanders, and Jonathan Brooks. Like, all 4 of those guys, by adding them, you immediately elevate your offense. Bringing in Deontay Johnson and paying him whatever you're going to end up paying him, like, you have a rookie quarterback. That's what you're supposed to do. We saw Justin Jefferson get the bag because Kirk Cousins left, so they had money open up, and you have a rookie quarterback in Sam Darnold. Like, you have open money. That's what you do. The mold started with Russell Wilson.
Yep.
We saw what the Seahawks were able to do with Russell Wilson on a rookie deal, being an effective young quarterback. You build the team around him, build a solid defense, and you just roll with it. Like, and so I can't get over it. Like, I love what they're doing the more and more I look into them. Looking at this ADP for these players, I see a lot of value because they were the worst team last year. Bryce going as the number 30 quarterback in the 17th round overall is absolutely a flyer I am targeting at the end of every draft I do.
I want to say Justin Fields is going before Bryce Young. Like, he's not even the starter for that team, and people have more of an expectation of him than Bryce Young. Like, this team, if their season looks similar to last year, then they're going to be one of the garbage time darlings. I think that Jonathan Brooks is probably right around the range of where I would want him at running back 31. I don't want to rely too much on a rookie running back in a new system. He's still coming off injury, but like
in the 9th round.
Jatavian or Deontay Johnson, though, as the 40th receiver off the board in the 8th round. I mean, if they're down a lot, him and Leggett are going to be getting targets in the fourth quarter. They're going to just be airing the ball out. And Thielen as well. Thielen showed that he was a wide receiver 1 for the first half of the season. I'd be drafting him just for that. just because of what he could potentially be for the first 8 weeks.
Like the value with these guys, specifically after you've already got your starting lineup.
Yep.
Like Jonathan Brooks in the 9th round, even Chuba Hubbard as a handcuff for him in the 14th round to me has value there. And then, like you mentioned, of those wide receivers, like Johnson in the 8th, Thielen and Leggett both in the 15th, and then Jatavian Sanders going as their top tight end in the 20th round. Like Jatavian Sanders for me, he's one of those, I don't, because of his youth, I don't know if I'll let him hit the waiver wire. I'd rather just stash him at the bottom of my roster and see what happens.
Drop him after week 3 if he's not getting any work.
But even then, where he's so young and stuff, so many teams will take these rookies, and all of a sudden by week 5 and 6, they've got packages for them because they've developed them in practice and they've finally seen enough. Like, so, but for me, all of those wide receivers absolutely have value because, like you said, even if they do end up having a bad season, you're looking at garbage time stats for every one of those guys.
Yep. And somebody has to catch the ball. It's not like they're going to throw for 2,500 yards. They're still going to throw for 3,000 yards. Someone's going to get 800 yards, 6 touchdowns, 80 catches. Like, that's great value in the 10th round plus. I'll take that. That's where, like, I'm going to go super heavy on wide receiver early. But then after I've got my core 4 guys, I'm going to start taking running backs and tight ends, get my quarterback, get all those things figured out. And then I'll take an Adam Thielen in the last pick of the draft. Hell yeah.
Well, and like I mentioned with Bryce too, I mean, unless he is an absolute bust of a first overall pick, like I'm talking historic bust, you have to believe he's going to improve on 2,800 yards, 11 touchdowns, through 10 interceptions. But I mean, as a rookie for me, when you stack it up, he was 13th in the league, tied for 13th. So those touchdowns are absolutely going to go up.
Yep.
Like he's going to throw, I can easily bank on 20 plus touchdowns for him this year.
He was running around last year like a chicken with his head cut off, running away from pass rushers. They added 2 solid guards, and they already had some pieces on their offensive line. It's not like they had nothing, but they had some very youthful, very bad players that they've now replaced. Robert Hunt, previous Dolphin, was a darling for Miami. Everyone in Miami loved that guy. When we drafted him in like the 5th or 6th round, he came in and started his first season, and we've all loved him. He's a mauler in the run game.
He gives you ability at tackle as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Like he's absolutely a better guard, but he gives you swing ability to tackle if you need it. Like them, Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis for me were probably, outside of the wide receivers, absolutely the biggest upgrades that they had, because you enforce the interior of your O-line. Excuse me there. But to allow yourself to establish a run game. Exactly. That was a lot of their problem last year, is there was no run game to be established. So there was no threat of that. So it's just send everything at the rookie.
Yep.
And so, I mean, like I said, I'm all in on these guys' value on where they're stacking up. I like their defense overall. I mean, like you mentioned, their defense wasn't necessarily bad last year. When you look how they stacked up in the division overall, they weren't last, they were 3rd. I mean, as far as just, looking at PFF grades, things like that there for them, their tackling was terrible. Like the guys they couldn't tackle anything. When you're looking at their tackling grades, they were a 32 and everyone else in the division was in the 60s.
Yeah.
Like you're just not stopping
That's
anybody.
fundamental. That's coaching. Like
exactly. And so for me, like everything tells me they are absolutely better than what they were last year. Now, their over-under is set at 5.5. So I am wondering how willing you are to commit to 6 wins for them. So a 4-win increase.
It's tough. I think that the Pats are actually the worst team in football, and I think that the Pats don't win 5 games. I think that the Panthers win at least 5. I think that it all depends, on my opinion, on 2 players. It's Bryce and Jonathan Brooks. If Jonathan Brooks is half of the prospect that everyone expects him to be, he comes in healthy by at least week 4. And if Bryce Young can take a step forward, if he can get 20 touchdowns, I don't see any reason why they don't win 6 games. They're in a very weak division. They have opportunity. They also, man, their receiving core just got so much better. Like, Thielen was literally the only guy last year, and Mingo developing his second year, Leggett coming back, Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, like, Canales being able to scheme up different things for all of those players. I see them as a little bit of a dark horse of an offense. So I think that they can get the 6 wins. I'm not saying that it's a definite. I wouldn't make the bet myself, but I think that 5 to 6 wins is more in the realm. I'm not expecting a 2-win season.
And we're sitting here talking too, like 6 wins is like, holy hell, the Panthers pulled out 6 wins. Like, no, that's still a disappointing season. But coming off a 2-win season, a 4-win increase, it starts to make you feel a little better about the future, especially if you do see that development out of Bryce and the offense overall. I'm with you. I'm going with the over. I think they can get to 6 wins. Looking at their schedule, the back half of their schedule is pretty rough. After their bye week, they've got Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Philly, Dallas, Arizona, Tampa Bay again, and then Atlanta. But I do see some chances for them to steal some wins in the beginning part of their season. So for me, I'm going to go with the 6. Like you said, I'm not putting money on that. But if I had to lean one way and fall off the fence on a side, I'm going to the side of the over. So, Sir Purr, if you're still here with us, like, we've got to figure out what the motto is for the Panthers. But hey, subscribe for us, hit that notification bell, tell your friends. 500 subscribers, we're doing a giveaway for a free jersey to one of you lucky people out there. Love for it to be a Panthers jersey. TulsiRoseTea.com is the sponsor. Thanks for taking your time with us. We love you guys. Peace out. Rawr.